Hello friends, how you all? Welcome to our YouTube channel. Your friend Anil Saharan. He is present for you with a new story and a new video. Today's story is going to teach you something new, so subscribe to the channel quickly. Let's start the story. The name of our story is Ripple of Kindness, One Act That Changed Everything. It was an ordinary Wednesday morning in the bustling city of Greenwood, where life moved at a fast pace, and people were often caught up in their own world. In the middle of this hurry, an old man named Mr. John Maxwell sat quietly on a bench at the local park. His silver hair fluttered in the wind, and his wrinkled hands rested on his lap. He was known by the locals as someone who had seen a lot of life, having lived in the town for more than 70 years. That morning, however, Mr. Maxwell wasn't in his usual cheerful mood. His thoughts were heavy, clouded with loneliness. His wife Mary had passed away 2 years ago, and since then he had struggled to find joy in the world around him. The park, once a place of shared laughter and strolls with Mary, now seemed empty and hollow. As he sat there lost in his memories, a young woman named Lily approached him. Lily, a recent college graduate, had just started working at a nearby office. She had been feeling the weight of her new responsibilities, overwhelmed by the demands of work and life. But today something about Mr. Maxwell's presence caught her attention. She noticed how he seemed lost in thought, his eyes distant, and a sadness in his demeanor that mirrored her own unspoken struggles. Without thinking much, Lily decided to sit beside him. She smiled gently and said, "It's a beautiful day, isn't it?" Mr. Maxwell looked up, surprised by the interruption, but then his face softened. He nodded, his lips curving into a small smile. "It used to be," he replied softly, his voice tinged with sorrow. Lily, sensing his sadness, stayed silent for a moment, unsure of what to say. But then she thought of something simple and kind. "Would you like some company for a while?" The question was innocent, but it was exactly what Mr. Maxwell needed. For the first time in a long while, someone had acknowledged his presence not with pity, but with genuine kindness. He hesitated for a moment before responding, "I wouldn't mind." And so they sat there in companionable silence, the park bustling around them. Yet the world seemed to pause for that brief moment of connection. Lily didn't ask Mr. Maxwell about his past or try to pry into his life. She simply offered him the comfort of being there with him, and that alone made a difference. As days went by, Lily continued to visit Mr. Maxwell during her lunch breaks. What began as a small act of kindness, brief conversation, evolved into a lasting bond. They shared stories of their lives, their hopes, and their regrets. Mr. Maxwell spoke fondly of his late wife, Mary, and the love they had shared. Lily confided in him about the pressures of a new job and the uncertainty of a future. Despite the age difference, they found solace in each other's company. It was clear to Lily that Mr. Maxwell's life was still full of untold stories, and it was clear to him that Lily's heart, though young, carried the weight of unspoken worries. Together, they became a small but powerful source of support in each other's lives. One afternoon, as they sat on the same bench, an unexpected event occurred. A young boy, around 10 years old, came running toward the park, his face flushed with excitement. He was holding something in his hand, tightly small bouquet of flowers. As he passed by Lily and Mr. Maxwell, he suddenly tripped and fell, sending the flowers flying from his hands. Without thinking, Lily jumped up and rushed to help him. "Are you all right?" she asked, offering her hand to the boy. The boy nodded, embarrassed but grateful. "I'm okay. I just wanted to give these flowers to my mom," he said, his eyes bright with the innocence of youth. Lily smiled gently and helped him gather the flowers. "Your mom will love them," she said kindly. When the boy stood up, his eyes glistened with gratitude. "Thank you," he said before running off to find his mother. Mr. Maxwell watched the interaction closely, a warm smile creeping onto his face. "That was kind of you," he said softly. Lily shrugged, feeling the warmth of the moment. It was just a small thing, no big deal. But to Mr. Maxwell, it was a moment that sparked something within him. Kindness, he mused, has a way of making the world a little brighter, doesn't it? Lily nodded. I think it's the little things that make the biggest difference. And just like that, a seed of change was planted in Mr. Maxwell's heart. Over the following weeks, the simple acts of kindness that Lily and Mr. Maxwell shared began to ripple outward. Mr. Maxwell, inspired by Lily's selflessness, found himself doing small acts of kindness wherever he went. He helped an elderly neighbor carry groceries, held the door open for strangers, and even gave up his seat on the bus for a young woman carrying a child. It didn't take long for others to notice his newfound spirit. People in the community began to smile more often, exchange greetings with one another, and offer small acts of kindness in return. The park, once a place of quiet solitude, now buzzed with laughter and conversation. More and more people began to visit, drawn by the warm atmosphere that seemed to surround the place. One morning, as Lily and Mr. Maxwell sat together, a familiar face approached them, a woman in her 40s named Sarah, who lived in the same neighborhood. Sarah had been a regular at the park for years, but had always kept to herself. She walked past them, smiling shyly. "Good morning," she said before pausing. "I've been seeing so much kindness here lately. It's really uplifting." Lily smiled at her, sensing an unspoken invitation. "Would you like to join us for a chat?" she asked. To their surprise, Sarah sat down with them. "I've been feeling a little down lately," she admitted, "but seeing all this kindness around makes me want to try it too." From that day forward, Sarah became a regular part of their group. And just like that, the ripple of kindness continued to spread. As months passed, the ripple of kindness began to transform the entire community. Local businesses started offering discounts to those who volunteered in the park. Teachers began teaching children about the power of small acts of kindness. And even the local government started organizing events that encouraged giving and sharing. But it wasn't just the community that had changed. Lily too felt the difference in her life. She had grown from a young woman who had been struggling with her own burdens to someone who now saw the world through a lens of compassion. Her daily interactions were filled with empathy, and her work no longer felt like a burden, but a way to contribute positively to the world. One afternoon, as Lily sat with Mr. Maxwell, watching the sunset over the park, she couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude. "I never imagined that something as simple as kindness could change everything," she said. Mr. Maxwell looked at her with a twinkle in his eye. "Sometimes all it takes is one small act. It's like tossing a pebble into a pond. The ripples spread out further than you can ever imagine." I hope you guys like this story. You can also watch our old videos. What do you think about this story? You must be enjoying the story, and learning with enjoyment is a different kind of fun. So all of you, please give your feedback in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.